Hey everyone, if you don't know me, I'm Jules and I make content surrounding lifestyle, personal finance, and beauty related content. In this video, we're going to be sharing my July preset. I haven't done this in a couple months, so just kind of getting on track of things. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Just going into a little bit about what's been happening in my life, especially relating to personal finance, is that a few months ago I got laid off from my job, so currently unemployed and looking for work. So my resets look a little bit different than what they used to, especially as far as income goes. This is only like a transitionary period, of course, until I find full-time work. I'm sure some of you guys know if you're currently searching for jobs, but like the market out here is really tough. So, you know, it's taking a little bit longer for me to find something, and so I've been really cutting back on my spending for sure. And so yeah, you'll see that in my reset. I'm trying to be a little bit more lenient on myself, especially because it is summertime, and so I know I typically in the past have spent a little bit more during the summer, but of course, you know, that won't be the case this summer. I'm still gonna try to go out at, you know, on occasions and, you know, still maybe go out to eat, things like that, but definitely scaling back any activities or things like that until I can find, you know, a more reliable income when I get a new job. But I know a lot of us are in this position. A lot of people are getting laid off right now, so if you're in that boat, you know, try not to stress, because yeah, a lot of us are in the same situation, unfortunately. But try to manage, and part of managing this is being accountable of my personal finances and making sure I'm not overspending anything. So yeah, I just want to leave it with that. If you are going through this, I feel you. I'm going through it too, and it's definitely a tough time right now for sure. Okay, but we're gonna jump straight in to my reset. We're gonna look over June's budget. There's still a few days left in the month, but I don't plan on spending that much more money this month. So okay, so looking at my budget, I've been getting paid unemployment, and so that is $900 bi-weekly. Before taxes, they still take taxes out, and so the first check I got, I chose not to get my taxes taken out. However, for the second check, I chose to have taxes withheld, so that's why the number's a little different. So I'm working with $1,700, which I know is not a lot, but I also am currently still living at home, fortunately, and so I'm not paying rent or anything like that during this time, and I do have an emergency fund also that I can use if need be. However, I'm trying not to dip into my emergency fund. If I need to, I will, but luckily my bills and expenses are pretty low, so I haven't really needed to. But as you can see, I'm not saving anything currently. But just looking at what I've spent this month, I spent $48 on the gym, $133.39 actually on car insurance, paying $9.99 a month for Apple storage, $25 for car wash, $129.21 on my phone bill. This is actually really high. My phone bill is actually typically pretty low. Right now it's around like $45 a month, because I have like a 3-month discount right now for being like a loyal customer, I guess, with Verizon. But there was a $65 charge added to this bill this month because I made an international call. Unfortunately, it was like 20 minutes or something like that, and so yeah, I got hit with a hefty like $65 international call fee. So there's that. I spent $504 on health-related expenses. I've had a lot of appointments and like medications, prescriptions, things like that this month, so that's why that is so high. Groceries, I've actually not spent that much, but when we go to dining out, I've spent a little bit more than I've liked, so that's why this is a little bit lower at $67.80. Gas is $155.29, which I think I might have to fill up my gas tank before the end of the month, so this might be closer to $200. This year for household, $35 for automotive. This included parking. I went to a soccer game last week and the parking was $30, and then I went to downtown and had to pay parking there, and that was like $5. Miscellaneous, $1.80. As you can see, for dining out, I'm definitely a bit over budget. I think also during the summertime I tend to spend a little bit more money on going out, having drinks with friends, things like that. So that is definitely a little bit higher than I would like. So definitely next month we're gonna try to get that lower. Shopping, $37.71. Bought a ring earlier at one of the farmers markets. $23.34 on beauty. I ran out of one of my pressed powders, so I had to get that. It was like $48 because it's the Charlotte Tilbury one, but I did have like a 15% off coupon I used, and then I had like an Ulta gift card from Christmas, so this ended up basically being half off. I budgeted $50 for entertainment, but I didn't end up spending anything on entertainment, but you know, that could go towards shopping and beauty since I didn't budget anything for that. Gifts, I spent $129.89. This is for Father's Day. That was earlier this month, and then also my grandpa's birthday was at the very end of May, so I got him something. And then personal care, $106. I did have to get a haircut. Well, I did get a haircut at the beginning of the month because I hadn't gotten a haircut in like 8 months. I usually only get haircuts like once or twice a year, and it's usually around like $90. So very like low maintenance when it comes to my hair. I like to keep my hair color the same. I have a lot of like hair products, so I don't really need to buy anything. So the only thing I really had to do was just get my hair trimmed, and that was it. But the next time I'll get my haircut will probably be at the beginning of next year. So, and then I got my eyebrows threaded, which luckily my area is pretty, you know, inexpensive. It's like $15 to get my eyebrows threaded, and I just like to get them cleaned up like once a month. So that was that. So in total I have spent, let's see, whoops, okay, purse. So in total, so I budgeted in total $1,691, but I've spent $1,682. I think this will be a little bit higher at the end of the month just because I said there's a few days left. I am going out to lunch with one of my friends, and I will most likely need gas by the end of the month, so this might be about like $50 to $100 more. It's pretty much in range with my income this month, a little bit over. That I do have an emergency fund, and I have extra money right now in my checkings account, so my transactions should be covered, even though it's going to be a little higher than what I made this month. Now let's jump into our July reset. I first want to go over some of my goals for July. I didn't do this for June just because I didn't really plan a June reset, but I like to have goals each month just to keep me accountable and keep me, you know, on track. I don't have like a goals or habit tracker. I just put it in like the calendar section of this budget. I forgot to mention that the template I'm using is the Co-Plenty Yearly Budget 3.0 version. It doesn't have a goals or habit tracker. I just include it in the calendar, and I just change it every month. This is for July. So my goal is to read 2 books this month. I just started the Throne of Glass series. I'm actually on like the prequel book, which is called Assassin's Blade. I've just started it. I'm having like a little bit of a hard time getting into it just because, I don't know, maybe it's just starting a new book, or maybe it's because I already know it's a prequel that I haven't been like too interested in it. But yeah, I'm trying to get into that series, and then also I'm trying to read some summer books now that we're getting into that season. I have a couple Emily Henry books. I have the book People We Meet on Vacation, and I have Happy Place by her, so I definitely want to read those in the next few months. I think I'm going to read People We Meet on Vacation first. Excited to read that as well. Next goal is to go to the gym 3 times a week. In my previous months of the reset, I was going to the gym around 4 to 5 times a week, but I've kind of been getting burnt out a little bit at the gym. So I've scaled this back to 3 times a week, and I'm really just trying to focus more on my next goal as well, which is to walk 10k steps every day, because I'm really bad when it comes to getting my steps in. I'm pretty like sedentary. a lot of times, and so I just want to focus on moving my body more, as well as focusing more on nutrition and eating more like whole foods and cutting out, you know, sugar and alcohol for the most part. I know it's the summer, so I like to get, you know, like a little Aperol spritz. But yeah, I'm trying to only do those during social events. I would definitely want to focus a little less on the gym and more on just overall balancing nutrition and walking more. I really need to, I really need to do this, which is deep clean my room. The room I feel like has just gotten a little bit of a mess, and I've kind of been putting it off because I know it's going to be like a tedious thing to do, but I really do need to just have a deep clean, get rid of a lot of stuff, and just, yeah, clean my room up, like, honestly. I really want to focus on my outputs this month and being more productive, so I want to focus on posting on TikTok twice a day. If you want to follow me on my TikTok, it's at Jules Busalaki. Also link in my bio for that if you want to go follow me over there. I post similar content, a little bit more lifestyle and like silly everyday things, I want to say, as well as personal finance. I think TikTok's a little less serious and more fun, so I try to have fun with it. And then I want to post on YouTube once a week. I in the past I had this at like 8 times a week, but I feel like that's a little overwhelming sometimes, or yeah, it's just a bit overwhelming, so I want to scale this back just to once a week. Like I said, I am currently unemployed, so I'm just continuing to apply for jobs, you know, Monday through Friday. I've been, you know, getting interviews, things like that, but I just want to stay on top of it. That way I can find something soon. I want to go to bed by 11 p.m. each night. I've typically in the past been really good about going to bed earlier, like 10, just because when, you know, I had a 9 to 5, I would actually go to the gym in the morning because I found that worked best for me. So I would typically wake up at like 6 a.m., go to the gym from like 6:30 to 8, and then come home, get ready, and work. However, you know, my schedule's more flexible now. I have a lot more time, and so I've noticed that I've been going to bed later, like 12 or 1 in the morning, and waking up at like 9, 10. So I'm trying to get out of that habit. And I'm also actually taking Spanish classes right now, which are like early in the morning, like 7:30 to 11 most days, so that's also why I've been trying to go to bed early. But yeah, that's actually something I didn't write on here, but taking Spanish classes, this is a long story, kind of a bit of a tangent, but I should add this. But one of my things is practicing Spanish every day, like at least an hour, for 1 hour, I'll say. So I'll add that there. But yeah, my mom is Mexican, but well, I should say Mexican American, but you know, her first language was Spanish, but she never really taught me or my siblings Spanish, unfortunately. So yes, I am a no sabo kid, please don't shame me. I was never really taught it, but I am from San Diego, so I've kind of always like been around it and been around the language. I never really learned it fluently. I did take like Spanish classes in high school and college, but I never liked to practice speaking it because I would always get made fun of by other people in the community, or yeah, I was just very self-conscious. But honestly, I'm kind of at the age where like I don't care anymore. Like, I want to learn and I want to become conversational and fluent, and you know, it's a big part of the culture is learning a language, and I feel like that's been something that I kind of feel left out of, and I just want to become better. So I started retaking Spanish classes. I'm really excited for that. I've been listening to, you know, like a lot of Latin music and shows, things like that. I try to immerse myself a lot more. Obviously, I feel like everybody says this, but I understand a lot, but when it comes to speaking, I'm not that great. But I think that's because I never want to speak because, you know, I've been embarrassed. But yeah, I'm trying to get over that, so that is a goal for the summer, is to start picking up Spanish more. And then last thing is to check 5 things off my summer bucket list. I saw this on TikTok. I can't remember who originally posted this. I'm so sorry, I can't remember who, but they started posting, well, they created a summer bucket list, kind of like when you were a kid, just like feeding your inner child, you know, and started doing things during the summer, taking things off their summer bucket list. So like one of the things was go to a soccer game, like go to a Padres game, take, you know, cooking classes, or, you know, just things like that. I'll put a picture up here of what my summer bucket list is and what I've ticked off so far. But yeah, I really like that idea, and so I created one for myself. And I feel like I also say every summer, like, oh, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. I never end up getting to it, so I think this kind of holds me more accountable of like, let's do something, let's check something off the list. I don't think, looking now, I don't think I'm gonna get through everything on the list, just because some of the things are a little bit more expensive, like jet skiing, things like that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing everything on this list, but I definitely want to check off most things for sure. So these are my goals for July, which I'm pretty happy with and I think is pretty productive. Okay, so looking into my July reset, the money I have coming in this month is $810 for each paycheck. This is with the taxes deducted off. I'm going to try to keep it at this amount. Some of the times before I've kept the full $900, but I don't want to end up having a big tax bill come April and have to pay like a couple grand because I hadn't had my taxes withheld. So I'm going to make sure that I continue to deduct my taxes off now. Looking into my bills, I have $48 for the gym. That's standard every month. $134.21 for my car insurance. Apple storage $9.99. Car wash $25.99. This should be $25.99 because my car wash went up by 99 cents, but the past couple months it's still stayed at $25. So I'm just gonna keep it like this for now, but might just end up being $25. Verizon phone bill is $41. Thank God it's back down and not over $100. I'm budgeting $500 for health. Like I said, I've had a couple of like appointments and things like that that I've been needing to go to, so that's why this is pretty high, unfortunately. Groceries $150, gas is $200. The past few months had been around $150, but I tend to like drive more during the summer and, you know, go out more a little bit, so I'm raising this by like $50. And then household automotive $0, and then miscellaneous I like to budget just a small amount at $50. So then going to expenses, dining out I have here at $200. Shopping $0, beauty $0, entertainment I put $50 because I like to keep a buffer if I want to go to like the movies or, you know, check something off my summer bucket list, for example. So I kept that there. I have $200 for traveling. This is because I plan on hopefully going to Catalina Island in the month of July. This is something I've been trying to plan with my boyfriend for the past few months. Just as a day trip, I've never been to Catalina Island, which is crazy, even though I've lived in Southern California my entire life. And I know in middle school we get like a field trip where you go to Catalina Island, but I didn't end up going on that trip, and so I'm really excited. I want to do a day trip. I know it's really nice during the summer, and then maybe if I really enjoy it, I will spend like a weekend maybe in the fall, depending on life there, if I want to go again. But yeah, I budgeted $200 for like the ferry, and then also to, you know, get lunch while I'm there, or, you know, do an activity. It's just like a nice close by thing to do for the day, and especially because, like I said, I don't want to spend too much money right now, and this is kind of something that, you know, is relatively quote-unquote inexpensive, something fun to do. And I also have not only my emergency fund, but I also have some money saved up for like a vacation fund. Obviously I haven't used it because it'd be a bit irresponsible of me right now, but yeah, I think this is something like local I could do. Gifts is $0. I don't think I have to buy anything in July. Gifts is $0. I don't think I have anybody that I need to buy gifts for in the month of July, which is good. And then lastly, personal care is $15. This is just to get my eyebrows started. So if we add this up, I have allocated $16.24 for the month, And yeah, it's pretty much right on par with how much I'll be bringing in. I do also want to say I do get like $50 to $60 a month through my high yield savings account, like interest, but I don't include that as income just because it's such a little amount, and also I try not to take any money out of my high yield savings account. I just like to keep it accruing, but there are like little income sources here and there that I'll get additionally, or like things like cash back I tend to get through credit cards, things like that. So there is about like $50 to $100 a month that I do get just extra ways here and there, but like I said, I don't like to include it because it's just like too small where I don't think it'll make too much of a difference. This is my July reset. As you can tell, I'm working with not that much money, but luckily my bills and expenses are, you know, pretty low. I'm able to, you know, work within this small budget. But like I said, this is, you know, super temporary. I think within the coming month or two, I'll have something lined up to where, you know, I'll get income again. So yeah, I think, you know, if you're also, like I said, in the same situation, this is one way that I find alleviates a bit of stress, just because I like to see exactly how much I'm spending, because I tend to overspend, and if I don't keep myself accountable or keep track of, you know, what I'm doing, then, you know, everything could add up. Hopefully the next few resets won't look like this, but we'll see. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Thank you for watching. Bye.